let's talk about the monthly economic report today without Angry, just because it was too short notice to ask him. But the MER for November was a little bit late. There was a data problem, and CCP talks about that here too. And there's also a little bit of data missing. And then they also had a problem that I alerted them to with the faucet. Within like a few minutes of it coming out, I posted to them saying, "Hey, there's a mistake." I'm sure I wasn't the only one, but they fixed it very, 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 very quickly. And yeah, let's start with the first graph, which is immediately super strange because you see the production graph just exploding over here. There are a few reasons for this, but one reason is that this is based on the 30-day moving average market price. And so if you're looking at production and your mineral prices are spiking and a lot of things are getting more expensive in EVE Online, then that is also going to have a part in the production value right here. But what is also happening is that we saw goons move. The Imperium moved, and so they weren't producing a lot for a while, and then now they're in a new home, and I'm sure they started producing again. And then we also had a massive capital brawl, a Dread versus Faction Titan brawl with about 6 trillion destroyed, and that needs to be replaced. And people I think a lot of people will do that regardless of current pricing, and so we have seen production just spike. Destruction and mining, not so much. Destruction up a little bit based on what we just talked about. Mining, not so much, mainly because mining, even though mineral values are up a lot, and the profitability of mining may have increased a little bit, it's still overall, I think mining is overall still in a very bad place from the Equinox expansion. Looking at Null, I think we still need to see larger rocks. It needs to be a better quality of life. It needs to be more fun to be mining again. And so I hope that CCP will iterate on Equinox further, even though we have the Revenant expansion out now. Let's here you can see the asteroid ore mined. So you can see there's more ore being mined overall, especially in the blue section here in HiSec. Then we have, let's see, this is gas mined, also up in terms of volume. Here we did see gas prices drop rather significantly here, though. So this is what you're seeing here. And then recently prices were rising again a little bit, and so at least here we're seeing the M3 volume come up, the cubic meter volume come up. This is ice. Ice also increased, and I'm sure we're going to see another increase here for the Winter Nexus event. The reason it increased here also a lot was because its value, due to the massive Imperium move, the value of ice raised quite significantly, and so overall it has become more profitable to mine ice. It's in an all right place right here. Now, this is the new graph, and this is actually quite enlightening, and it's a bit shocking, because what this shows is the moon material source, traditional moon mining in orange here, and Metenox in green. And so here you can see the massive impact that Metenox moon mining has had on moon materials overall. You can see, especially for R8 moons, it's way more than half For R4 moons, it's pretty much half. For R16s, way more than half. R32s, it's about half. And R64 is not so much. But this shows that the largest part of moon mining has gone from active to passive. And I don't know if I like this, right? Because yes, you know, nullsec is happy that they have passive income again. On the other hand, like, active gameplay is in 100% of cases better than passive gameplay because it means ships in space, it means targets in space, it means people doing things, it means more people being involved. This is moving active gameplay to, you know, nullsec leadership gameplay mostly, and I don't think that's a good thing. Now, do I think that it should be profitable? Sure. But it's absolutely clear now why CCP has nerfed Metenox moon mining twice now, right? Because I think this is way too much. I mean, I think if 20 to 30% of moon materials come from Metenox, then great. But over 50%, I don't think that's good for the game. And so I find these numbers quite shocking. So if you've been wondering why Maxilon is spiking, why Pyrite is spiking, this is why. You know, they came from traditional moon mining a lot, and they are not being generated anymore through Metenox moon mining, and so this is where we're at, and you know, possibly even what looks like even CCP was surprised a little bit about the number of the uptake of Metenox moon mines because they have nerfed it twice already. Nate's in chat is saying, called it passive income benefits the 1% in leadership roles but takes away mining content from the many. Argued that exact point 6 months ago, this is mass content removal for a ton of people. I think, I mean, I hear a lot of the discussions, right? So what null leadership would argue is that this provides then SRP for larger battles. This provides content in different ways, but you know, it's definitely, I don't think it's a positive change. Like I think it's a fine aspect to have, but if it's doing more than 50%, it's way too high. So I don't think that this is, you know, I don't think that this is a positive change. I wouldn't want to revert it. I'm just saying this is out of control. You can see here who has been adopting it the most. So you can see here, for example, Veil of the Silent is Frat, right? They have a small percentage here. Fountain, that's the initiative, has about, I don't know, one third, I guess. Syndicate is a mixture of groups, right? Or who's mainly in Syndicate, but they have 2/3 of all moon mines coming from Metenox, so that's pretty rad. And then, you know, the rest kind of shakes out differently. Outer Ring is almost all Metenox. Scalding Pass, almost all Metenox. Wicked Creek, almost all Metenox. Syndicate is NPC, no? Yeah. Somebody in chat is asking what is Metenox? Metenox is passive moon mining. So it's essentially installing a structure that automatically mines the moon materials, as opposed to a drill that takes moon chunks out of the moon and then still needs to be mined by players. So it's active moon mining versus passive moon mining. Yeah. So let's jump to sinks and faucets over here. Now, you guys know this is my favorite graph. If you look at this number right here, you can see the beginning of month money supply. So 2,447 trillion ISK. The faucets, 177. The sinks, minus 113 trillion. And then you have the active is delta of minus 80 trillion. And that leaves the final money supply at 2,431 trillion ISK. And it's easier to see that if you put it into relation. So for example, here, let me zoom this out so you guys can actually see the end of this. So if you want to understand this, I'm using Matt's Power BI here, which I can, here, I'll plug it in chat so you guys can see it. Here you can see whether the money supply goes up or not over time. You can see we have some spikes here in November and November. These are typically expansions, right? The spikes are people returning because if you're returning, then overall the money supply is going to go up. Now, if we look at specifically, let's start with faucets here. If we look at faucets, faucets were the highest ever in November, I think. At least in the last 3 years here, but I don't think we've ever had more faucets in EVE Online. So 177 trillion entering is massive. And one big reason for that is the bounty increase in nullsec. So CCP increased bounties in nullsec by 30-40%, something around that, and that is a massive uptake, and we'll see that in the graph right now. If we look at sinks, sinks were a little bit higher with a little bit higher ISK velocity, so more transaction tax overall, but overall not that crazy. But if we look at the active ISK delta, which is people becoming inactive after 3 months, or people being banned. So those are two things that go in here. And you can see that we had a pretty negative number here, which is very interesting. Oh, here, I'm going to show you that. Minus 79 million. That is much higher than the average, but we've seen those numbers in the past. Now, this is pretty shocking, because it is an expansion month. So typically in expansion months, you see here, you see players are returning, right? Now, we had the player returning thing in October a lot for the Imperium move. Because they moved, a lot of people had to come back. So we already saw one of the most positive active ISK deltas in the past few years in October. And so those people now didn't come back for November, but instead we saw a negative number here. Now, this could be bot bans. Like I have heard of quite a few bans in the last weeks, but who knows, right? CCP doesn't disclose these numbers. But for example, in July, they did say that this was a rather hefty ban wave right here in July. And so sometimes you can tell by the posts on Reddit, by the angry posts on Reddit. And so here, you can see that for an expansion November, the active ISK delta being negative is pretty astonishing. So overall, we had a slightly lower money supply than we had in previous months. All right. Let's go quickly to the money supply. You can see that here. Now this graph, what does it say? 2,431. And this one says 2,431. This should be lower. So there's a problem with the data here, CCP. Am I crazy or not? So this should have been lower than the previous month. And the graph goes up. That can't be, right? That's a mistake in the data, correct? Am I crazy? I'm not crazy. Right. Chat is saying I'm not crazy. That's good. So there's another issue with the data here that I will let CCP know after the stream. But either way, it's a little bit lower than it was before. My theory here is that they fixed the previous month. Probably there was there was some mistakes there, but yeah. Now, having said that, let's have a look at the sinks and faucets over time, because this is quite exciting. I don't want to look at this one. I want to look at this one. So this is where you can see the impact that massive bounty boost has to the ISK faucet. So you can see here, this is normal nullsec, and then you have the bounty prices increasing by a lot in here, and so that's quite massive. You also had, if we go back here, you can also see that Triglavian data also rose by 100% because we had new mutaplasmids. So we had, what was it? 30 something new mutaplasmid types, 36 new mutaplasmid types being released. And so people are running more abyssals. You can also see that here. If you look at the abyss tracker, you can see that this is starting in mid-October. Starting in mid-October, people were running a lot more abyssals. And then it's been dropping down again now. I'm guessing the mutaplasmid prices have normalized a little bit. But certainly that was also a fairly hefty impact here. Crab beacons also. Rogue Drone analysis data, it's come from crab beacons, right? They've also been run a lot more. And yeah, and somebody Drake, CSM Drake is saying in chat that's the new red loot item in Podgevan. Not only, right? Not only, but like I think it's also people clearly running more abyssals for the mutaplasmids. It's both, I guess. The winter side, likely there's no the November MER data doesn't include winter nexus yet. That will be next month. Now you guys will have to help me with the what was the miscellaneous payout here? This was the October event, right? This is the Halloween event. Did it have like massive OPEs? Overseer personal effects? Did we have those? Yeah. Overseer personal effects in the Crimson Harvest event? Damn. It's just like, it's such massive ISK printing, you know? Yeah, so money supply, it's rising too quickly. We need more, you know, they need to revert the nullsec bounty boost is just too much cash. Like they need to find a different way of doing that. I think it was a very lazy fix. So I think they need to fix that. They need to take that back, at least half of it. I don't know, probably all of it. They need to fix the actual problem rather than just boosting bounties. I understand why they did that, but we need a different fix. It can't just be throwing money at the problem, because throwing money at the problem at this point is just causing inflation. And plus, the sales tax, I mean, the halving of the sales tax is costing us, is causing a lot of inflation. And at this point, I don't think it's doing much. Like, the halving of the sales tax in July didn't increase ISK velocity. It didn't really do anything. So the price you pay for it is not, it's not worth it. So I think, revert the sales tax back to normal, take the nullsec bounty boost back down, and then you're golden, I think, in terms of money supply. But who listens to me? Oh yeah. So ISK velocity, this last month was quite high, or was higher than it was before. Part of this is Plex, because there was again a lot of New Eden store sales that were happening. People were buying and trading a lot of Plex, and this number right here includes Plex, right? And this number down here doesn't. So you can see the spike is much lower here than it is here. So a lot of this is Plex, skill extractors, skill injectors. They were all on the move. They were all good investment opportunities, and they were all in packs and New Eden store sales. And so that's the biggest factor in the ISK velocity there. Not really organic ISK economy, organic ETH economy. Now, this is massive, what you're seeing here. This is the so-called mineral price index. The mineral price index tracks the average price of minerals across New Eden. And minerals just this week are up 8%, okay? Maxilon, Pyrite, Zydrine, Morphite, Megasite are all 30 to 150% above 52-week average. And this thing is way too high. And all I can say is CCP, just add larger rocks to asteroid belts, right? Let the people mine. Don't add more ISK, just add more minerals. We can take it. The economy can take it. I don't know what you're waiting for. CCP devs, if you're watching the stream, please. I know I tell you as a CSM as well, but also as a community streamer, we need to inject more minerals into the system. You cannot wait for clearly if mining was in a good place, then people would be mining their hearts out right now, because mineral prices are insanely high, right? We need more people mining. I don't know, man. I don't know, because it seems to me that a lot of people, even though mineral prices are high, choose not to mine because it's not good content, or it's not profitable enough, or it's too tedious. And so you have to fix those three things if you want more minerals in the system. And I think larger rocks will be fixing at least two of those. And I think you can't just do one thing. Chat says they don't want to play as mining, otherwise you would need to explain the constant nerves and Metenox introduction. I think they want people mining, man. CCP wants people mining for sure. People out there mining are good on so many levels for so many things. I actually went out and did the event. I did exploration sites for 2 hours this week. And I have to say, they were not very profitable. And after a while, quite boring. I don't see myself... I think I collected about 85 points on the login, or not the login reward, the event track. And so I would have to do that almost every day or every other day. Like I could never see myself doing that. Never, ever. I thought it was way too boring. Like, at least the exploration part, I guess, like, it's fun to get people together in one system or in one region and then create content that way, but at least the event itself is pretty boring. All right. Now, mineral price index high, we covered that. So this is what CCP would like you to look at, and that is that even though the mineral price index is high, It's only one part of the economy, and that's true. If you take all of the average of ships and modules, then prices are not insanely high, and that's what's keeping the economy together, right? Because you have T2, you have moon materials that are rather cheap right now because of Metenox moon mining. You have, faction modules that are just regular loot, and so or bought with LP. So there's a lot of different ways of getting stuff in EVE Online, and so it's mainly capitals and tier 1 battleships that are in a bad place because they rely a lot on basic minerals, and that's what we got to fix. Nate's in chat is saying, if Oz doesn't understand null mining at all, if you can't build anything, no incentive to mine, no matter what the value is, because you aren't going to ship it JITA without 10 plus. I don't understand null mining at all. I also don't understand what you're saying, but maybe after we talk about this. I speak German or English. All right. We've got wormhole net trade summary. This is in a good space at 11 trillion. Hey, it's about half of what it used to be. Very good. And then that's it. So that's the MER in November, and hopefully we'll have the next one quicker. And for the next one, I'll be in Australia already, so I don't know if I'll have Angry on, but definitely in the long run, I'm still planning to have Angry on these. I just was too short notice today. All right, we're gonna return to the regular stream, and then I will catch you next month for them.